Hi guys, Cinematic Recapped here. Before we start, warning. Spoilers ahead. Today, I'm gonna explain an American science fiction and thriller movie, called Spiderhead. In the near future, a state-of-the-art penitentiary called Spiderhead is experimenting with the effects of research chemicals. Uniquely, all the test subjects are volunteers from the state prisoners who want to shorten their sentences. The subjects undergo daily tests of various drugs, all of which alter their emotions and perceptions of their surroundings. This program is overseen by the sympathetic and hospitable Steve Abnesti, along with his assistant, Mark. One morning, an inmate named Jeff is given N40, a love drug that distorts his senses and allows him to see beautiful things around him. After that, he speaks to a fellow inmate named Lizzie and tells her that he was given a new substance that morning. That night, he still remembers the time he killed his friend whilst drunk driving. The next day, Jeff is placed in a room with another inmate named Heather. At first, the two do not like each other, but after Steve gives them N40, they are immediately attracted to each other. However, after the effect wears off, both of them become awkward and uncomfortable. Steve then calls Jeff to do the same experiment, but this time he gives Jeff a double dose as well as an older woman named Sarah, and the result is the same as the first experiment. All of the test subjects have a device called MobiPak on their back that administers the drugs from the experiments when it is activated by Steve. Later, Steve asks Jeff to choose between Heather and Sarah who will be given the Darkenfloxx, a drug that induces intense fear and psychological pain. Jeff replies that he cannot choose, claiming he feels nothing in particular for either one of them after the effects of the love drug had worn off. Afterwards, Steve brings up Jeff's past that made him an inmate. After the accident, Jeff managed to save himself, while his friends did not. Every Friday, Jeff is given a chance to call someone and decides to call his wife, who apparently resents him because of the accident. Therefore, he only leaves a voicemail, apologizing for the last time and promising not to bother her again. The following morning, Jeff undergoes the next experiment, and this time he is paired up with a big man. Because of this, he becomes really angry and refuses to be given the N40. Steve tells him that it has nothing to do with the N40, and a few minutes later, he lets them go. Jeff then goes to Steve's room, where he learns that there are many other people besides him have also been given N40. Enraged, he complains that these people are not puppets for entertainment, but Steve argues that he is only carrying out orders from the higher-ups, and this project is for the greater good. After hearing all the explanations, Jeff ends up apologizing. Soon, it is revealed that Steve also has MobiPak on his back, and he uses the N40 when he is alone in his room to experience the effects. The following day, Jeff talks to Lizzie again about the experiments, and the two agree that they have been doing a lot of strange experiments lately. At that point, he also starts to like her. While Mark is injecting some drugs into Steve's back, Jeff suddenly comes into their room, where Steve tells him that the higher-ups have chosen that Heather must be injected with a dose of Darkenfloxx, though it will only last 5 minutes. After he is threatened with expulsion from the program, Jeff reluctantly agrees. As Heather starts to look depressed, he says that he feels guilty and does not really want to see her like this, even though he does not feel anything romantic about her. After a while, Heather suddenly bangs her body against the wall, causing her MobiPak to break, and to their horror, she unexpectedly commits suicide because she cannot stand the desperation anymore. As Steve rushes out of the projection room, he accidentally drops his keys, so Jeff takes it and uses the opportunity to unlock Steve's desk compartment. He then finds a notebook, discovering that there are no higher-ups. Instead, the penitentiary is run by Abnesti Pharmaceuticals, which is Steve's own company. Besides that, all the experimental drugs were named from a bingo card, and all of them were planned to be sold in the pharmaceutical industry. Luckily, Jeff manages to put everything back when Steve returns to the room. Soon, Heather's accident causes Mark to doubt their work in the facility. At night, Steve and Jeff get high together on a laughing drug, and Steve tells Jeff that his father abandoned him as a child. The next morning, Steve takes Lizzie on an experiment and manages to scare her off a stapler after injecting her with a phobia drug. Afterwards, Jeff finally confesses to Lizzie that he not only killed his friend in the car accident, but his girlfriend as well. Hence, Lizzie attempts to calm him down, and the two end up kissing. At the same time, Steve notices Jeff's feelings for Lizzie through surveillance cameras, so he comes up with the idea of using them both for his experiment. He then tells Jeff that he will give Lizzie a dose of Darkenfloxx. Fortunately, Steve postpones his action after being opposed by Jeff. When Jeff returns to his room, Mark suddenly comes in to do his MobiPak maintenance. Jeff then confesses to him that he saw the contents of the notebook, and then confronts him why he is working with Steve if he already knew that he is a bad guy. Mark replies that he did not know anything before he worked with Steve, who initially promised him that they could help a lot of people with his experiments. From then on, Mark has really doubted Steve's motives this whole time. The next day, Steve tells Jeff to continue the experiment on Lizzie, while Mark is somehow absent for the day. Jeff refuses his order again to hurt Lizzie, so Steve becomes desperate and decides to tell him the reason why Lizzie became an inmate, hoping that Jeff will stop protecting her. Before Steve can tell the truth, Lizzie decides to tell her own story that she actually killed her 9-month-old daughter by leaving her alone in the car for 3 hours. As a result, she feels she deserves punishment and tells Jeff to continue the experiment. Although shocked by her confession, Jeff eventually takes control of Steve's Moby Pack because Mark had previously given him the Darkenfloxx, and that he is coming back here with the police. Jeff then increases the doses of the phobia drug and forces a terrified Steve to admit the true goal of the program is to test a compliance drug named B6. The other drugs are merely side projects being used to put B6 to the ultimate test, whether or not they would harm their love when commanded to. As long as inmates agree to various tests, they had really been under the influence of the compliance drug. Additionally, Steve informs Jeff that he had actually finished his sentence 7 months earlier, while Lizzie's appeal for release had passed a week earlier. After that, Jeff forces him to open the main entrance so he can free Lizzie. In a moment of distraction, Steve pulls out a pocket knife, while Jeff tries to order him to hand over it. However, Steve resists and immediately takes his phone back, enabling all 4 vials of Darkenfloxx in Lizzie's Moby Pack before breaking his phone. The two fight for control, while Lizzie behaves hysterically and attempts suicide. Jeff ends up disarming Steve, damaging his Moby Pack in the process. He then rushes to save Lizzie, successfully removes the vials of Darkenfloxx and tells her that he loves her, no matter what she has done before. Meanwhile, Steve gets up and orders the other inmates over the loudspeaker to apprehend Jeff and Lizzie, otherwise all of them will serve their full sentences back. Long story short, Jeff and Lizzie are able to escape from Spiderhead after overpowering some of other inmates and locking the main door behind them. At the same time, Mark and the police almost arrive on the island, while Steve manages to escape on his float plane because he does not want the police to catch him. However, he joyously crashes into a mountain as he is under the effect of N40 injected from his damaged Moby Pack. On the other hand, Jeff and Lizzie take the remaining motorboat while watching Steve's plane crash. The movie ends with Jeff's voice, commenting that self-forgiveness has to be worked on and chosen, rather than being easily curable. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.